In today's video, I'm going to be giving you the best maps going into Year 7 Season 3, Brutal Swarm. Let's get into it. So firstly, okay, let's talk about some of the newer maps. I guess we can talk about Emerald Plains first. Emerald Plains, D tier for sure. Emerald Plains is probably the worst map in the game, I want to say. And I'm not just saying that because it's new. So a lot of people will label maps bad because they're new, and that's not always the case, right? Favela is not really that bad, and neither is Stadium Bravo, but Emerald Plains is really bad, and I'll tell you why. It's an extremely attacker-sided map. Every single bomb site has at least 3 windows and 3 doorways right next to the objective that attackers can easily utilize to create a lot of cutoffs into the objective without them having to actually put any effort in. They're extremely hard to defend, and if you know any lineups whatsoever, you have a coordinated team at all, you will always win on attack on Emerald Plains. The only viable bomb site for defense that you have a maybe 50-50 shot on winning is the kitchen bomb site, but even then, there's so many different ways for the attackers to get into the building and immediately start creating pressure than there are on any other map, and that is why it's in the D tier. And then we have the best map in the game, which is Clubhouse. Clubhouse is an S tier map. So Clubhouse is probably the easiest map to get very good at if you're on a team or if you're solo queuing. There's so much potential for outplay on this map if you're a defender or an attacker. It's very easy to get walls open or keep walls closed. It's the definition of a good map because it literally is just who is better at using their utility and getting frags is who's going to win. It's not attacker sided, it's not defender sided. I think it's really the only ranked map that is a definite 50-50% chance of either winning or losing, and that is why it makes it a good map. So Clubhouse S tier for sure. Let's get into a map like Coastline. Coastline I think is A tier. So for ranked specifically, Coastline is good because it doesn't require a lot of utility to be used. It doesn't require a lot of brains. If you have a good fragging capability, you have great aim, this is the best map for you. Clubhouse is very good in the sense that you don't need to open walls to win the round. You just need to get frags and get yourself into the building or keep the attackers out of the building for you to win. It's very easy to play, very fun to play, and that's why it's in the A tier. Chalet I'm going to also put in the A tier. A lot of people don't like Chalet, especially like the newer you are to playing Siege, the more you probably hate Chalet. I once was there as well. There's just a lot of angles that you can get shot from and a lot of roaming potential, so it's a very hard map to attack on if you're new to the game, but if you have a coordinated team, it's actually pretty attacker-sided. I know, doesn't really add up. But it's very fun to play, and the higher elo you get into, the more balanced it is, and the more fun it is to play than it would be if you were new to the game. So that's why I'm putting it in the A tier. You can disagree with me all you want, but you'll see as the maps go into the B and C tier that Chalet is definitely better than the ones below it. Speaking of, I'm going to put Consulate in the B tier? Yeah, Consulate can go in the B tier. No, I want to put in the C tier. So Consulate, I don't like Consulate for the same reason that I don't like Emerald Plains, is that you can get a lot of outside influence to the bomb immediately without you having to do anything. And there's a lot of windows that the attackers have to worry about, like run out spawn peaks and stuff like that, that are just in the objective and easy for defenders to use. So the amount of windows that there are really does not help this. The amount of hatches that there are that you have to reinforce, the amount of reinforcements that you need every single bomb site in general don't help. Like, there's just a lot of soft destruction, which is actually the sign of a bad map. And that's why Favela is also going to be low, which I'll talk about later. You don't want a lot of soft destruction, which is why Clubhouse is very good, because there's just the perfect amount of hard destruction and soft destruction on the map compared to a map like Consulate. Consulate overall is just not a very good map, and that's why I'm putting it in the C tier. Next, I'm going to talk about Skyscraper. Skyscraper, I think, is an A tier map. It's one of those maps, again, where it's like whoever knows how to play the map better is going to win 9 times out of 10. There's not a lot of gun skill required. It's just a very game sense heavy map. Sure, gun skill will help, especially on like rushes like the blacktop rush or the black stairs rush or the bathroom rush, right? All common pushes. But if you know how to completely outplay people, you can actually kill a lot of gun skill heavy people playing smoke for karaoke or tea. If you know how to play smoke correctly on those sites, you will win 9 times out of 10. Same thing with Aruni. There's a lot of hard destruction that you can completely prevent with Cade or Bandit. There's a lot of outplay potential, and it's overall just a really fun map to play, and the more you know how to play it, the more fun you'll have and the more wins you'll get, and that's why it's an A tier map. Let's see, B tier. I think Kanal is a B tier map. So Kanal, the reason that it's bad is because there's 2 buildings, and the only way to get in between said buildings if you're a defender is through 2 tunnels. Right, so overall it's pretty bad for the rotation side. It's very bad for attacking because of all the windows that can see you, but that's the same thing for defense, which is why, you know, Emerald Plains and Consulate are so bad. So that's why it's in the B tier. It is a solid map in the sense that they reworked it, and there's a lot of actual things you can do on the map, like holding down walls that can win you rounds and using more utility that can win you rounds. So, you know, you can still play the map correctly and get a lot of round wins, but the overall design of the map being it that 2 bridges are the only thing stopping the 2 buildings from disconnecting is why why it's a B tier map, and I think if they made the two buildings more connectable, that it would be a better map. But that's why it's in the B tier for now. Oregon, I'm going to put in the S tier. So Oregon is just like Clubhouse in the sense that if you know the map more, you're going to be better off. It is more close quarters and more uncomfortable to play, but like I said, if you know the map better, you know which power positions to hold, you have better gun skill, you're just going to win the round. It's the same thing like Clubhouse, where if you are a better individual player, you're going to win 9 times out of 10, but it's more individually for Oregon, right? If you have a better team, then you're going to win Clubhouse, but if you are better individually as a player, then you're going to win Oregon, right? Just because of how close range it is and how easy it is to get into gunfights on this map. But that being said, because of that, it is a well-balanced map, right? It's 50-50 for most bomb sites. I would say it's a little attacker-sided the higher elo you get, as you don't see yourself on defense going to meeting all that often unless you have really good defenses. But other than that, it's a pretty well-rounded map, and that's the reason that they kind of reworked it and tweaked it a little bit to make it a little bit harder for better players to be able to just completely dominate you. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Outback, and Outback is going to be in D tier as well. It's a little better than Emerald Plains, but it's not really as good as the people that are going to be in C tier. So Outback has a huge problem, and it's that if you're an attacker, it is extremely hard for you to get into the building. So if you try to go onto any balcony whatsoever, there are at least 6 different spawn peaks that can look at you, right? Think about you trying to get the wall in dorms. You can get shot from games window, bathroom window, the window below you. They can run out to yellow stairs door. They can get you from the dorms window. They can get you from bowl window. They can run out the garage wall. They can run out the garage window. They can run out the reception door. They can run out the green hallway window. Like, that's 10 different spots you can get spawn peeked from. 10 for just trying to get a wall open. Right? It's insane. And that's just one part of the map, right? That's just that one balcony. You're not talking about going outside of Reptile Hallway. You're not talking about going out of Top Garage. You're not talking about going into Picnic. You're not talking about going into the motel reception hallway window. There's so much, and it's so hard for you to get into the building. But then the kicker is once you do get into the building, it's extremely hard to defend as a defender, right? So it's so unbalanced, and the overall concept of the map is just terrible, right? They tried to rework it to make that not the case anymore, but instead of reworking the way the map works, which is what a rework is supposed to be, they completely just changed the look of some rooms and expanded some rooms, which is not how you do reworks, and that's why Outback remains in the D tier for now. Bank, I'm going to put in the very top of B tier. It could be argued for A tier, but it's like Chalet in the sense where the less you know the map and the newer you are to the game, the more of a pain in the ass it is to play, right? But to give Chalet some credit, the balance between soft and hard destruction is viable enough to where there's a lot of outplay potential in terms of strat making. But for Bank, it seems like no matter who you ban or how much you reinforce, the attackers can still find a way to easily get into the objective and fuck your entire strat up because of the way that the map is built. Right, so it's the same thing with defense as well. If you have an attack strategy lined up, there's so much roam presence, there's so much you have to drone because of how open the map is, there's so much you have to roam clear, there's so many flanks you have to watch. It's just a very uncomfortable map. I think if we were doing a tier list on how fun maps were, this would be probably the top map. I fucking love playing Bank, but it's just not that good of a map in terms of actually competitiveness and ranking up and trying to win and just being a balanced map, which is why it's going in the B tier, unfortunately. Next, I'm going to rank Border. So Border, I'm going to put in B tier. Above Bank, probably like the top of B tier, but below Skyscraper. So the reason I'm putting Border so low compared to what you normally might want is just because of how small and cramped the map is. It seems like when you're on defense, the attackers can come from a multitude of different directions and be able to swarm where you are and close down on you. Now, I will say the more advanced you are as a player and the more team coordination you have, the more balanced and safe it feels to play this map on attack and on defense. But for ranked specifically, it's a B tier map because it's either a slam on defense or a slam on attack, due to the fact that if you have a 5-stack, you're probably going to win the game, and if you're solo queuing, you're probably not. There's no room to roam on this map. You have to do horizontal extends, and that's it. You cannot play vertically or else you will die almost instantly. It's extremely hard to rotate back to site. It's extremely hard to flank, and overall it's pretty attacker-sided. Now, if you are new to the game, it's pretty defender-sided because people can just lurk in corners. People can use invisible capcan traps. If you don't know what that is, good luck. And it's just unfun. right? It has a certain design flaw, which is the fact that it's just too small, and that's why it's in the B tier. Now, I'm gonna talk about Stadium. So one thing you need to realize about Stadium is one half of it is literally just coastline, and the other half of it is literally just border. If you go throughout the map, you'll know what I'm talking about. They did rework a few walls, they added these glass panes in, so it's not all that bad, but for now, I'm going to put it in the bottom of B tier. Here's why. Like I said, coastline, A tier map, border, B tier map. So the reason these maps are in the way that they are is because they're very close range, but they're very easy for gun skill players to use. And it's the same thing for Stadium Bravo, right? The less game sense that people have, the more it favors the people who are just able to gun down other players, right? And because this map is so new, no one has really any game sense towards it, even though it's a mix of two very well-known maps, right? So it's heavily gun skill favored, and that's why it immediately cannot be S or A tier, right? Strat making is extremely hard to do on this map because people are just unpredictable. In terms of how the map is actually built, it's not too bad, and I like the addition of the glass panes. It makes droning and information a lot easier for attackers. They can just set drones outside the glass panes and be able to look at extremely easy cutoffs and flank routes. So I mean, it's really not that bad. It's not that good either. I'm just gonna put it in the bottom of B tier for now. Next is going to be Favela. So Favela I'm going to put in the C tier, and here's why. Favela is not as bad as Outback or Emerald Plains in the sense that it's not extremely hard to attack or defend, but it's just hard to understand as a map. It's very confusing to play. If you do learn the map, it's pretty fun, but then you also have to expect your teammates to know the map, and that's never going to happen. It's banned constantly. It's probably the first map to ever get banned out of the entire map pool, and that's why it's C tier. That's not only why it's C tier, right? There's a lot of soft destruction, a lot of windows and doorways that lead directly to site that attackers can easily get access to, which is why Consulate was in C tier and why Emerald Plains was in D tier. So there is a bit of a design flaw. It is a lot better since the rework. I will give it that. It's a lot better. There's too many staircases, too many flank routes, too many places for roamers to just sit, too many places for attackers to just run into, and overall that's why it's a bad map. Next is going to be Theme Park. Theme Park I'm going to put in A tier. Theme Park is really fun to play. It's a bit hard to attack on, especially the lower rank you are and the lower skill level you are. But once you get to a high skill ceiling and your teammates know what they're doing and you know what they're doing, it's actually a pretty balanced map. I would say it's pretty defender sided overall. There's probably like a 55% defender win to a 45% attacker win. Still pretty decent, but very noticeable. One thing I will say is the map is extremely fun to play. It's very, very big. I think if I had to pick the biggest map in Siege, it would probably be Theme Park. It's a pretty huge map. Maybe Bank, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyways, Theme Park, A tier for me, very fun to play, very balanced as well. The more you know how to play the map, the easier it is going to be for you. There are certain niche operators that you can use and abuse, like Mute, Valkyrie, Aruni, stuff like that, and make your time as a defender a lot easier. People like Sledge, people like Twitch, people like Ace, people like Thermite, you can all abuse on this map. Overall, pretty balanced map, and I like it a lot. Next is Villa. Villa I'm going to put in the S tier. So Villa is pretty good, obviously. Very well balanced map, pretty attacker or defender sided, just depends on, you know, what you're running. Very easy to play, very easy to pick up, probably one of the easiest maps in the game to get to know. The only thing keeping me from not putting it like better than Oregon or better than Clubhouse is just the basement. I feel like if the basement was taken away, it would be so much better, or if they put a bomb site in the basement or just did something with the basement, it would be very good. Now, I think it's really the only thing that's making the map unique though, and that's kind of the thing. With every single other map, there's something about the map that makes it unique, right? You have the 2 bridges in Kanal, you have the tarps, you have the fact that there's no walls that need to be opened on Coastline, you have the huge open spaces in Chalet, you have all the huge open spaces in Bank, you have the 2 towers in Oregon, and you have the basement on Villa, right? It's really the only thing that makes it unique, but it overall, it just adds nothing and just makes the map more aggravating to play. So that's why it's really not the top of S tier, but other than that, it's an extremely balanced map and a very easy map to pick up. And that is why it's in the S tier, just because of its balance and how easy it is to play. And then our last map is going to be Kafe. So Kafe, I want to put in the A tier, but I'm trying to figure out where in the A tier I want to put it. I think I'm going to put it below Skyscraper and above Theme Park. So actually, while I'm here, I'm going to redo the A tier. I want to put Skyscraper above Chalet. So Kafe, again, just like Chalet, where it's like, it can be really daunting at times if you're not used to the map and how the map works. But once you are, it's extremely fun to play and extremely easy to get to know. You just have to know the right operators and where to push, and then this map is pretty much a cakewalk. Pretty balanced. You see yourself winning the top floor or losing the top floor a lot, and it seems like you either slam on defense or slam on attack. I don't see myself going to overtime a lot on Kafe, just because it really is who has a better team and who has more coordination and callouts on Kafe that seems to win on this map, and that is a sign of a balanced map, and that's a sign of a good map. It's also just very fun, and that's why I'm going to put it in the A tier. But that's pretty much it. I don't really want to rate the deathmatch maps, or, you know, the map that doesn't end the game, or just the casual maps, because I don't play casual, and this map's out of the game, and I think this one is too, so it just didn't make sense to put them in a tier list. I did do the ranked tier list, though. I hope that was enough. If you disagree with anything that I have to say, leave it in the comments and let me know why, and you might change my mind. But with that out of the way, it's pretty much it for the video. Don't forget to like the video. I am a small channel, so it helps me out a lot if you do subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.